Hello. Hello. My name is James Bethel. I'm 45 years old this year, obviously. I was born about 50 miles to the east, like anybody else. Basic mom, dad, worked for a living, blue collar, believe in hard work, honesty, honor, integrity. Don't really believe in taking somebody's property from them without cause or depriving somebody through some form of contractual obligation that may or may not exist. About 9, 10 years ago, I was in a road rage situation where a young lady was yakking on her cell phone and damn near killed both of us. And I flipped out on her and started screaming at her and whatnot. No intention of ever putting my hands on her, of course, because she had never put her hands on me, which is par for the course. But in the process of doing this, the police get involved and they trump up charges, suppress evidence, and do a number of things that caused me to wonder about the legal system, which got me to start studying it. In the course of studying it, one naturally has to get into trouble to exercise some of their newfound knowledge, if you will. And so in the course of doing that, I find out that the court system is working on some other kind of set of rules that aren't necessarily written down, for lack of a better word. In the course of this, and this recording is completely off the cuff, in the course of reading and researching and thinking and reading and researching and thinking and studying the laws, the statutes, the constitutions, going back and forth, one begins to understand that this becomes a series of free men engaging one another in commerce. And the only way to do that is through agreements, whether it be to create a government or whether it be for a government to create an agency to benefit a citizen. All of these organizations, if you will, or extensions of freedom, if you will, not really, but are franchises. And a franchise is kind of like being born again. It's something that's granted to you, sort of like your life. You get privileges and immunities in some cases, some higher than others. Some people have more or less than others, depending on their status or franchise that they're using or enjoying. But the bottom line, it comes down to contracts. It's all about contracts, people. We created a government, and in turn, the government said, you know what, there's no real money out there. Why don't we go ahead and suspend everything that's of substance, and we'll never pay another debt off. We'll always just set them off or discharge them. And so, in the course of doing this, the government makes a series of offers to us, and through our acceptance, either through use or through, well, mostly use, or an express agreement, it matters not. Use is good enough. They get you into a contractual agreement that supplants, if you will, or supersedes the one that you made prior to this. The one that allowed you to create the government to protect your rights. The government turns around and offers you a franchise that you thereby accept and get yourself into. That causes the government to protect your rights in the nature of you being a piece of property that you've pledged to the state, and now they have to protect it against that property's spirit or the property's will, because the property in question is a body, a human being. And we're the money. They're the servants. It's all about the contract. If I make an open offer to you, for instance, that my pledge to this video is truth, So help me God. And anybody finds that what I'm saying is to be a non-truth, then you could charge me for it if we had some form of agreement that says that, what I'm telling you is the truth, which I just made. And this is an open offer to the public generally. That's basically what an official oath is. It's an open offer to anyone who accepts it. All you have to do is notice them of it privately and personally of their acceptance, of your acceptance, of their offer. And you've got them. They have to perform under the contract, which is the Constitution. It doesn't become a binding agreement on anyone. It's a pledge of sorts, of promises, of services rendered by a public servant who's wanting you to pay their wages, because they really don't want to work for a living, and this is what they're offering you. So, I don't know. You go after them for a failure in their duties and using the commercial process and trying to get liens on them, and you'll get all kinds of amazingly ignorant, counterproductive interference from public servants and private citizens alike. Apparently nobody really knows the law. Nobody takes the time to read it and try to understand it. Apparently reading words is beyond a lot of people. I've never seemed to have any problem with reading words. When I was young, they told my mother that I was hyperactive. Now they call it hyperactive attention deficit, which just means that when you were talking to me, I would be determining what you were saying while you were saying it and be thinking about other things, which to you would appear that I am not paying attention to you. As I would age and more adults would make these determinations, particularly teachers and other administrative people, persons, whatever, I was placed in learning disability classes, which they in turn prevented me from participating with the rest of the class because I didn't really need any help with learning. What I needed was a faster pace, not the pace that everyone is accepted to. So after a couple of years of that, one teacher had the foresight of actually questioning me long enough to determine whether or not I had taken these evaluation tests or exams or whatever they try to place you in properly. And I never do. I would never sit long enough to take the damn things. I don't like them. I think they're a waste of my time. So I just sit there and fill the dots in. It was so much easier. And anyway, she made me promise one day, and so I took the time to take the test. And they wouldn't let me out of learning disabilities, but they did. She ended up basically putting me in the back of her class for about a year, reading books. And when I ran out of books and writing reports on them once a week, she set me down in front of her class, playing on her computer while she taught class. So I learned how to program in BASIC on a Mac system when I was in 7th grade. So I would have been about, I think, 83 or 84. Somewhere thereabouts. Where was I? Wait, one. Much better. Oh yeah, hyperactivity. The schools had long since convinced my mother that I needed to be put on Ritalin. For those of you who are unlearned in pharmaceuticology, Ritalin is synthetic cocaine. For hyperactive people, cocaine, speed, meth, things like that has the adverse or opposite effect at what you'd expect it to do. So a lot of these drugs, if taken improperly to a hyperactive person, will make them go to sleep or sit down and veg out for hours on end because that's just the way it happens. So as a result of being quacked out on speed 3 times a day at 15 milligrams apiece, once in the morning, once at noon, and once in the evening, I would be on 50 milligrams of Thorazine at night to put me to sleep. Every once in a while, I'd mess up and take the wrong pills, and a lot of times I wouldn't take my pills at all. I'd throw them behind the hutch or behind another cabinet. Apparently, I got in quite a bit of trouble for this some years later, not having any honest memory of it at the time, but that's neither here nor there. So, fast forward to now, I'm just as hyperactive as I ever was. And I just have as much of a voracious appetite for knowledge and reading and the truth as I ever did. And what I found of my society causes me to want for a decent quality of man around me. Someone with honor, someone with integrity, someone who makes decisions based on rational judgment and not the stupidity and emotionally driven crap that they're hand-fed through the news services, who don't even have enough honesty to produce or to publish a person's private sworn declarations in their publication without trying to claim some form of liability. If you want information on that, feel free to contact me. I'll provide you with anything you have the desire to ask about. I am seeking my freedom back. The only course to go about doing that is to take back possession of the certificate of birth person that you pledge to the state when you don't reclaim it, as it becomes abandoned property when you reach majority age. If this doesn't make any sense to you, you shouldn't go any further. Because this video prior to me, what I've put together based on what other people have said, should give you enough of a clue to realize that there's a lot more going on out there than you're cognizant of. And just because you wander around playing with your smartphone and distracted you in other processes and other ways and means to keep yourself in pleasure so you don't feel bad about having to work your ass off and not amounting to shit as a result of it, throw the video away, crack it in half, throw it away. Otherwise, pass it around to your friends. There might be other people that are interested in it, and when we quit participating with the state's scheme and making money off our, pursuit of happiness, basically, or in the exercise of our liberty, which is not freedom, what are we left with? They won't do it if they don't make money off of it. I guess that's all I've got to say. Thanks for watching.